So what is Bitcoin? Well, I'm going to explain to you what Bitcoin is, a little history behind Bitcoin. Now, it's not going to be boring, it's going to be short, so don't close this video. What people use Bitcoin for, and what Bitcoin means to you, the consumer, and what Bitcoin means to you, the business owner, if you're a business owner, and also how to get started with Bitcoin. So what is Bitcoin and a little bit history behind it? Well, Bitcoin is a digital currency. More specifically, it's a decentralized cryptocurrency, meaning that all the information as far as the transactions are stored across everybody who uses Bitcoin's computers versus it being like Bank of America and Chase, where it's stored on their proprietary centralized servers. Now, it was founded in 2009 by an anonymous programmer who goes by the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. And nobody really knows who exactly that person is, but people speculate, yeah, he or she, probably he, was pretty intelligent. And when it first came out in 2009, I mean, it was worth a couple pennies for one Bitcoin. And then in 2011, it was worth around $1. And then, recent year, it's oscillated anywhere from a couple hundred to a little bit over $1,000. So that's a little bit of history behind Bitcoin, and also following Bitcoin, a lot of merchants are now accepting it, and there's also an array of other cryptocurrencies that have followed the lead of Bitcoin. So what do people use Bitcoin for? Well, there's three primary things that people use Bitcoin for. The first is that in addition to being a currency, it is also a new payment method, or a means to accepting and making payments, both online and in person. So in short, you can buy or sell things using Bitcoins. The second is that, like any other currency, there's an exchange rate and exchange value, where you can exchange USD or US dollars to BTC or Bitcoins. And the idea is basically people are speculating that if they buy at a certain price, that the value of the Bitcoins will increase a lot faster than the USD or whatever their country's native currency is. And so by the time you sell it, you're selling it for a lot more than you purchased it for, hence you make money. So it's an investment vehicle, a relatively risky one, but it is one nevertheless. And the third purpose of why people use Bitcoins is for all the transactions in Bitcoins that takes place, somebody needs to confirm and validate them. So that's what these miners do, and they basically get compensated in Bitcoins, the equivalent of what otherwise would be like the transactions fee that your credit card processor charges. So those are the three purposes as to why and what people use Bitcoin for. So what does Bitcoin mean to you, the consumer, basically, if you're buying something using Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin is probably the closest thing as far as an online payment method that resembles cash. Of course, there's differences, but compared to a credit card, once you make a payment, and the seller or merchant or business owner has your credit card or debit card information, they can bill you at a later time, especially with the rebills, subscriptions, that kind of stuff. So if you don't want them to do that, then you can use Bitcoins. And unlike PayPal or unlike an e-check, it's pretty instantaneous, 10-15 minutes, versus having to wait a couple of days for the e-check to clear. However, unlike PayPal and paying using credit card or debit card, you cannot file a dispute or complaint against the item that you purchased, because once you send it over, that's basically it. There's no centralized location or agency that governs fraud and all that good stuff. So essentially, if you're buying stuff like coffee, maybe groceries online, accessories, cheap stuff, then it will probably be a good idea to buy it using Bitcoin. And if you're making large transactions, I think as long as you know that the seller is reputable, so that way if something breaks or if it doesn't work out, you can at least return it or exchange it, then I would feel safe doing that. But I probably wouldn't spend a whole lot. For example, if you're buying computer components or expensive jewelry from a no-name online store, I probably wouldn't use Bitcoin, mainly for the fact that once you pay them, that's basically it. And if they don't deliver, there's not much you can really do about it besides the legal route. So what does Bitcoin mean to you, the business owner or the merchant? Well, Bitcoin is another form of accepting payment, but one of the differences I would like to make is that when buyers are paying using Bitcoin, they pay you, versus with a debit or credit card, you charge them. So essentially, one of the things that you could do technically and not legally is, once you have their card information, you can bill them at a later date with like rebill programs and stuff like that. And that can be a little bit discouraging for some buyers. So essentially, Bitcoin is a lot more empowering in that way for the buyer. And for certain types of businesses, I think it does make sense to accept Bitcoin as a payment option. For coffee shops, retail stores, restaurants, that'll make sense. And also it'll make sense if you're selling high ticket items, for example, like exotic stones, crystals, high-end jewelry, that kind of stuff. It makes sense for as well, because, well, you don't necessarily have to worry about the snares of chargebacks, because if they change their mind 60 days, they could go to American Express and talk to their customer service. So you avoid all of that if you accept Bitcoin as a payment method. Also, since it is a new option of accepted payment, like Visa, MasterCard, Amex back in the days, and also PayPal in the 90s, you're going to have adopters, not doctors, that want to pay using that method. So you're also opening yourself to a larger pool of potential prospective buyers, customers and clientele. And also, generally, the transaction fees with Bitcoin are a lot less than with your typical credit and debit card processors. So if you can put the volatility of the exchange rate aside, then it will make sense for that reason as well to accept Bitcoins. So now, if you're excited about Bitcoin, or maybe not, but you want to get started, like right now, so the way you can get started is by first downloading the wallet, and you can do that by going to bitcoin.org, and they have a couple of different wallets, but the one I recommend if you're starting out is download the Bitcoin-QT wallet. And later on, as you find out what your specific purpose and usage are, as far as what you're using Bitcoins for, then you could probably select a different one if needed at a later given time. But I recommend that one, the QT one, if you're starting out. So download the wallet, and then you will have to let your computer sit for a while, and it is a while for it to synchronize with the network. But after all that's done, then you'll probably want some coins in your wallet. And so the way you would do that is to convert USD into BTC or US dollars to Bitcoins, is you would go to one of those exchanges. Now, the one that I probably recommend is btc-e.com. They're fairly reputable, and I trust them. But at the time I'm making this video right now, the whole Mt. Gox filing for bankruptcy situation happened. And for those of you guys who don't know what Mt. Gox is, they're a Bitcoin exchange, and basically the people with the money in their the people with money in there, they don't have the money anymore. So with that said, I probably recommend you transferring only a couple $1,000s, if even that, at any given time, so you don't run into the exchange filing for bankruptcy and you losing your money. And the way the exchanges work is you would basically deposit money from your bank or any other kind of funding source into the exchange, and then you would use the exchange to convert it over to Bitcoins, and then you can withdraw those coins into your digital wallet. So that's how it works. So hopefully you found this video helpful. And if you did, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and go to my website, yanhuang.me. Like me, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. And also make sure you subscribe to my mailing list because I share a lot of cool stuff on there that I don't share anywhere else.